This week we're going to highlight trade estimates for the monthly supply-demand report that will be released by the USDA on Friday, September 12th at 11 a.m. Central Time. Then we're going to take a look at the price changes historically associated with that report. We're going to turn our attention to the updated crop condition ratings and weather trends here. We're also going to take a look at a very sluggish export program here to start 25-26 and wrap things up with a long-term review of November soybean futures. Hi, this is Brian Bastine with Advanced Trading. Let's talk about the soybean market. We've moved in the month of September here, and of course that means it's time for soybean harvest. Before we talk about that, however, we'll remind you that on Friday, September 12th at 11 a.m. Central Time, the USDA will release their monthly supply-demand report. Let's take a look at the trade estimates for that report. A lot of numbers here. We're looking at crop production, yield, ending stocks. We're going to highlight ending stocks for beans. Why is that important? Well, we look at the trade is looking for ending stocks here in September to be very close to what they were in August, 287 versus 290. However, look at that range from the trade, over 100 million bushel range from 223 to 330. That could be a recipe for price volatility if the USDA generates a surprise on Friday. And that's why it's critical to work closely with your trusted risk management advisor to have your marketing strategies in place prior to the release of the report on Friday, September 12th. Let's take a look at the price change historically of November soybeans associated with the September USDA report. Notice over the last 10 years or so, we have seen 10, 15, 20 cents a bushel. Of course, 2022 was a sharp rally, but here's the message. There is the potential, not a guarantee of course, but a potential for price volatility on Friday. That's why it's important, again, to have your risk management positions in place. Let's shift gears now and look at crop condition ratings across the U.S. USDA came out on Monday here and pegged nationwide bean conditions at 64% good to excellent. Notice that's down a point from last year, and now we're down a point compared to 2024. Let's take a look at the crop condition index here. Notice as we look at the blue line there, we've seen some deterioration the last couple weeks. And again, we've nudged ever so slightly below where conditions were this time last year. Let's take a look at crop progress here, specifically looking at soybeans dropping leaves. On average, U.S. soybeans dropping leaves increased approximately 38% between September 7th and the 21st. So days are getting shorter here. This crop will mature quickly. On average, by about that first day of autumn, we'll have about 60% of the beans dropping leaves. Of course, any harvest progress short term here will be directly tied to the weather. Let's take a look at the short-term forecast. Our slides this week, as usual, are courtesy of T-storm weather. Starting out here looking at a major temperature change. We're looking at much warmer conditions, sharply warmer conditions developing from Tuesday to Wednesday all the way into the weekend. We're looking at increases in highs ranging from 70s to 80s. In fact, they're saying maybe some 90s this weekend across the heart of the belt. Let's take a look at precip. Now anything to the north and west of that purple line with the soybean crops production in the background, it's going to be see some rain here next 10 to 14 days. However, anything south and east of that purple line could be sharply drier than normal next 2 weeks. Let's now look at rainfall the next week. You can see the rainfall of the next week here is kind of scattered, but most of that is north and to the west. How about rainfall totals over the next 2 weeks? A lot of dry conditions on this map here, very dry and intensely dry conditions through that the third week of September. Let's shift gears now and take a look at export sales trends. This is an area of very high concern for beans. There seems to be thinking that China may not take any U.S. beans for SOM. If realized, this could have dire implications for ending stocks. Again, notice on that chart, very, very light book as we approach mid-September. Let's wrap things up this week. Look at the trends in November beans. Now, November beans, as we tape here on Tuesday, are trading near $10.30 a bushel. Notice though, between now and that harvest crop insurance period of October, there's still room for price volatility, both to the upside and to the downside. That's why I encourage you to work closely with your trusted risk management advisor and avoid price prediction. Now, if you'd like more information, please feel free to contact us at 800-664-2321. We'll put you in contact with one of our risk management consultants who'll be happy to visit with you at your convenience. And remember, we upload every Wednesday. Make sure to subscribe to our channel to never miss an update. Make sure to join us on Friday, September 12th at 1:30 p.m. Central Time for a live detailed market analysis of the report. Thanks a lot. Have a good week.